This reaction is brought to you by my $5 or more supporters at coffee.com/Alex Haitz. I'd like to thank Andreas Glasel, Ant, Lukash Newman, Jag, Isidro Perez, Thin Ezzy, Willman, AJ, Lizardman aka Bill, and Ben Thrifty for sponsoring this video, supporting me, my family, the channel. I appreciate it immensely, and I hope you all enjoy this video. Doing Shirley Temple today, because that's what you listen to. That's what you listen to when you drink post-hardcore. There we go. Also, I got my my Field Mice shirt on, so I'm showing you that I'm sensitive, is what I'm trying to say. While we listen to this spicy album, this comes from poll number 42. Might be one of the last polls we do. I don't know. The future of the coffee page is kind of uncertain. The polls were an opportunity for random miscellaneous albums to get interjected into the mix, and I kind of hid them behind a paywall to give incentive for the coffee page, but I might not be needing the coffee page in the future, so polls might become like more of a like YouTube post kind of poll sort of deal, maybe. I don't know. Trying to figure out how I'm restructuring my reaction schedule going into my new methodology here. But all that to say, this comes from poll number 42. These were chosen by me. These 4 albums were kind of picked with the idea in mind of choosing things that won't have copyright issues on YouTube, and that I could post unedited, because I'm trying to move away from the edited reaction format. It takes up a lot of my time, and you guys just don't like to see unedited videos, so I don't really want to hold that back from you, and I also want my life back. So these 4 albums, except for one, technically are available to just be streamed, like posted completely on YouTube and with revenue sharing and all that good stuff. So as you can see, Unwound Repetition 1, out of 7 votes, this was open to the public. And 12 Rods and Paranul got a vote. I would have liked to hear the 12 Rods one. Someone also mentioned, I apologize, I forget who it was. I think it was on YouTube somewhere, that I should do the 12 Rods one. And I probably will in like a live stream reaction in the future. I'm trying to collect all of my miscellaneous albums that I want to do, because I'll be able to be doing these, these poll albums technically that kind of break up the monotony of going through the artist discography binge, but also the live streamed Saturday reactions that we do that are just kind of all over the place and sort of also miscellaneous. Usually it's like mini discography binges, I've kind of noticed is the pattern. But anyway, yeah, we will be continuing on this post-hardcore avenue that we have explored a little bit in the past, coming from Washington. So this should be interesting. For those who don't know, I do unedited reactions on my coffee page, coffee.com/Alex Haitz. For $5 a month, you can get access to the back catalog of unedited reactions from Modest Mouse going forward. That's April of 2021 that I started doing them. As time goes on and the coffee page will probably be retired, I'll probably just find ways to have everyone have access to these unedited reactions in some format. But for the time being, they're still behind the $5 paywall, so if you want to go check them out, that'd be the place to do it. Also got to shout out NordVPN, link in the description. Fantastic VPN with great speeds, great prices. If you're in need of one, highly recommend them. Check them out. Repetition. Repetition, repetition, repetition. So we have done one Unwound reaction on the channel already. That was Leaves Turn Inside You. I did that on February 2024. So it's been about 2 years since I listened to that thing. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I know that it's kind of a sort of a black sheep for the band. At least like their main chunk of stuff in the 90s. It's kind of a little bit of a turn towards more artistic post-rock stuff that kind of is a little more experimental. And it's been a long time since I've heard it. I remember really liking, just looking here, my highest rated songs were One Lick Less and Radio Gras. But obviously Demons Sing Love Songs is a really cool, dark song. I did a single song reaction for Terminus, I believe. That's on the channel as well. I think I did that before I did this full album reaction. But really cool, interesting album. Didn't fully click with me, though. I don't know if it was either too dense of an atmosphere, or like too nihilistic for my taste at the time. Sometimes heavy stuff just doesn't sit well with me, and I have to kind of shrug it off a little bit because it's like a little too heavy to hold on my shoulders, and I can't connect to it empathetically or anything. But we did a single song reaction for Lady Elect on, I think, a donation stream. Someone donated for it, and I really enjoyed it more than some stuff off of Leaves Turn Inside You. I remember it being a very interesting like guitar arrangement. I don't fully remember what it sounded like. We'll be listening again here today. But yeah, this is their 96 album. I just kind of picked this one because it was the second highest rated behind Leaves Turn Inside You. I know that it's kind of Repetition and New Plastic Ideas are sort of their other two bigger notable ones, but yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to add here. I don't know. So Steve Fisk was on production, and the band at the time were a three-piece, I believe. So just looking at Steve Fisk's production here real quick. Any other... Oh, Jamboree, Beat Happening, okay. I was going to say, like, what other Washington outfits has he been involved with? Some early... produced some Nirvana with Incesticide. Okay, that tracks. Yeah, just kind of very largely connected to Unwound. Produced Curtain Hits the Cast by Low. Interesting. Yeah, very very much a like a very closely connected to Unwound kind of deal. Which sometimes, that tends to happen. Produced some Car Seat Headrest. Teens of Denial. Look at that. Okay. Good to know. Yeah, I know that it... so it's like... I think their earlier stuff was a bit more directly punky. And this has kind of been noted as like a shift with like towards like new sounds and different ideas, which I find interesting. I don't know if I'm going to like it. Well, yeah, let me put it that way. I think this album will be good and will be very entertaining to listen to, because it's for my entertainment, like it says. But I don't know how much I will like it on like a personal empathetic level. Because like I've been very honest on this channel that like I'm a dream pop, jangle pop, shoegaze kind of guy. The more syrupy, the better. And while I do like some fuzz, I like my candy claws and all that, stuff that's just really nihilistic and heavy, I have to view from a more voyeuristic angle. And if it's too angry and aggressive, then I just really don't resonate with it at all. So I speak in two different ways, objectively and subjectively, so I'll try to be kind of clear about that. Also, I need to get some lyrics coming up here too, because I want to pay attention to the lyrical content here more than I did on Leaves Turn Inside You. So all that preamble aside, we're going to go ahead and hop in on the first track here, Message Received. Also, since it's kind of unedited, I will sort of be starting and stopping occasionally, just because I want to interject slightly more than I usually do. Very much that like post-punky bass in that post-hardcore realm that you kind of heard on like even early Nirvana, And this was what, 90, 96? Okay. There it is. Okay. Very clear like where we are here right now. As far as like this kind of sound uh in Washington, you know? Like this is definitely after that big grunge movement, a couple years. Which I don't know how much their like contemporary stuff was sounding, like new plastic ideas. But the emo side here with like the vocals, very clear and like again, sunny day real estate happening, just next door. Um, this music scene in Washington in the late 80s, early 90s is a very fascinating thing to me because different I'm hearing that more like, direct, gritty post punk coming through in a much more like energetic way. But also like at the end of the last half of this track, we get that more atmospheric break that you're going to hear a lot more of on the last album. So that's cool. I'm intrigued. I want to keep listening. Corpse Pose. Wow. Jeez. Um, Very much in the same vein, but we like so there's that like post-hardcore dissonance, right? Just in kind of like you get that a lot with a lot of Nirvana tracks where there's just like a gross feel to the chords. And then you have this kind of like lethargic emo talk singing that's like kind of atonal, Um, but like there's also some like Pixies dynamics happening here too. At the very least, not in volume, but in like intensity. Like the production gets thicker in the chorus. Weird guitar as well. Like this is probably like the most palatable type of these types of genre mixing is going on here because it's noisy, it's punky, um, but it's like and it's heavy, but it's interesting. It's not just like oh lethargic and oh gross like that. I just can't sit in for very long. But like these are dynamic, tight songs with energy to them, and that's kind of the part of the dynamic too. Is like the laid back lethargic, and then it comes in with something a bit more like gritty, you know, a little more Fugazi maybe. Cool. I'm on board so far. Unauthorized autobiography. Man, this production, it's tight. Like the staccato verses with like the opened up like bass tone that's a little more legato in the choruses. Man. I so definitely one that I'm not gonna like click with on an emotional level, but like this is tight playing and really cool guitar work that's like kind of atypical a little bit of these genres in this time and in this place. There's like it definitely like when it starts with that kind of staccato guitar, it's like that's Nirvana, that's Incesticide. Like that kind of sounded reminded me like a bit of like was it Mexican Seafood perhaps? One of those tracks on that compilation that's just like ugh. And but then it opens up into that chorus and it's like this is something a little different, you know? But still got energy. It has flow. It has flow. It's not just a straight shot across the bow, and I dig that. That's good in rock, I think. Unless you're doing some krautrock stuff, you know? Unless you're going against your mind. Lowest common denominator. I gotta stop right now. Man, the mix of like the low bass there with screechy guitar and then just like a very nice clean picked strum of a chord. Like this is the vibe of this album to a T right here. The Slint side was kind of showing there, wasn't it? Which crazy that sound in '91 coming from Kentucky, like definitely had a splash over in the Pacific Northwest, didn't it? Wow. Um, yeah, just I mean, more of the same. Just solid, well constructed, punky songs that are like slower paced, and then like have these noisy, energetic breaks. It's just well mixed, well produced, well played too. You love to hear it. It's sensible. Am I listening to Souvlaki right now? Bizarre little interlude, huh? Going into Lady Elect. Yeah, that had like that spacey like dubby reggae vibe that like was it Sing had off of Souvlaki? Huh. That's kind of cool. I don't necessarily love those kinds of tracks, but a well appreciated little break from the angst, That's fine. Lady Elect, let's re-listen. I don't fully remember it, but I think as we go through it, it'll click. I listened to it somewhat recently, actually, so hopefully it'll just snap into place here.
Goodbye.
I do remember that song, and it rocks. Um, Probably like one of my favorite Unwound tracks. If I'm to be honest, there's like a couple that I really dig on Leaves as far as like post rock songs go, and this is much more in that vein too. Just like that bass doom doo doo doom doom over the top of that screechy guitar, and then just a very kind of like mellow, nice post rocky outro. Good stuff, man. I really dig that. More of that, please. Fingernails on a chalkboard. Swan's Called. Man, that was like, it's like a very restrained swan song. Swan song. Like, it's got that krautrocky no wave repetition to it. Man, like, I respect it, but gosh, is it hard to listen to. I mean, it's that bass was fun to get like hooked into though. Fine. There hasn't been a bad track yet, you know? There's not been anywhere I'm just like, there have been certain like Sonic Youth and Nirvana songs where I'm like, okay, I gotta get that out of my head. And that hasn't really happened so far. This is much more artistic. From Italy. Murder movies. Whew. Like a death rock song. That's crazy. Man, that bass riff and the way it was mixed is like right in your face. And that song probably does it for somebody. Not for me though. But I respect the energy. That was a. I got so tired after Fingernails, and then you did that to me. Is next exit gonna be a slower one? Please. That I just kind of realized something that this kind of back and forth between this like noisy, punky type of sound with something that's a little more like slower, elongated, and drony is very Sonic Youth. And I kind of got Sonic Youth vibes from that, the last half of that, because they were definitely willing to lean into like those kind of like post-punking soundscapes that just kind of like have that really, Simon Gallup kind of bass, but it's much less chunky and it's kind of just there for the soundscape. I gotta say, I'm very impressed with how varied this album is. Like, there are certain albums I listen to, like Imaginal Disc or something like that, where I'm like, wow, bang for the buck. You buy this, and it's like, you got everything you need. Which is why I say that my Desert Island disc is 69 love songs, Magnetic Fields, because you get 69 songs. And there's like one, I always say that 69 love songs has one album's worth of songs for everybody. It's like a triple album that has enough to make 40 minutes of songs that you love. And with this, it's like it's got a lot of variety here for like a rock fan, an indie, not an indie rock fan, but like a fan of independent music, so to speak. In these kind of like alternative veins, is it's got a lot there. It's not devoid, I can tell you that. Man, the chord work is something else. such interesting, like I said before, you get those like really kind of grimy sounding chords with these like really gross dissonant notes. But then these like breaks into like beautiful like passages. Um, it's kind of remarkable. Kind of remarkable. I don't have a ton like new to say on some of these that I haven't already covered on previous things, but like yet again, not a bad song on here. So go to Dallas and take a lift. That was awesome. That was really good. Man, starting out like with just the most like benign indie rock sound, guitars. Really cool composition though. I like those riffs, and then like sensing the tempo increasing. Like okay, I even looked at the song on RYM. I was like looking at the genres. It was like this seems almost like just a straight indie rock song that you would hear in like the 2000s by like Interpol or something. And then I scroll down, it's like experimental rock, avant garde jazz, free improvisation. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then it happened. And then the like the saxophone and stuff came in. I think I heard a toilet flush, or it was just how that one guitar was mixed. I don't know. Oh man, that's I think second favorite on here behind Lady Elect. That was really entertaining and bizarre and just man. All right, we're gonna close this out with For Your Entertainment. great. Fantastic. That like encapsulated all the ideas that this album like tried to set out to do. Super dynamic, like progressive in a sense of, much like I've said a lot with a lot of these songs, atmosphere. And like I really have to commend the band and the producer, because like it's one thing to play and produce good punky grungy music. It's another thing to play and produce atmospheric, slower, post-rocky stuff that sounds like Slint and Sonic Youth. Really stunning stuff. So I gotta say, for this whole album, very pleasantly surprised at like its listenability. This was a much easier listen than like Incesticide and Bleach, for sure. It had less of that kind of like, even In Utero. I'd probably put it on par with like Nevermind, as far as like listenability goes. But man, I gotta commend the songwriting here. Like it had all of that punky angst in there, but like just it explored different avenues, you know? And I'm so curious if like this is kind of a like trajectory that they were on from the outset, producing all of these albums with Steve, because like it seems like they sort of evolved from a very typical sound into something a bit more experimental as far as song structures and progressiveness in your songwriting. And I'm curious to know like how the previous albums sounded, because like, were they more straightforward in this kind of post-hardcore punk sense, or were they experimenting with song structures back then too? You know, very curious to know that. But Repetition, pretty solid. I'm not going to go back and listen to a ton of this on my own, except maybe Lady Elect. I might listen to Go to Dallas every now and then. But this was solid stuff. I'm glad I listened to this. I would maybe be open to listening to more of Unwound in the future. But I don't know, like, is New Plastic Ideas going to be in a similar realm? Because if it is, I am open to listening to that too. And also, like, they have Challenge for a Civilized Society. That kind of looks cool. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll take it into consideration. I'm open to listening to pretty much anything from this band. A, because I'm interested, and B, because they're on Kill Rock Stars, which gratefully allow revenue sharing and don't like block the videos if the full album is there, which is great by me. So Repetition, really strong. Eager to kind of check out this album again when we do the follow-up and see how it settled for me. But good stuff from Unwound, as always. That is all I got, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video. Things to plug, yet again, coffee.com/Alex Haitz. Like I said, it won't be around forever, but if you want to get access to the unedited reaction backlog, you can do that for $5 a month. You can also hop in at the $1 per month level, and it gets you access to voting in these polls that we typically do. Although I don't know how much longer I'll have the, I don't know if I'll do any more like paid polls. They might be all open from now on. But if you want to give me money, I guess that's the place you want to go. Not a whole lot of benefit to it, but I want to give openly to people and not hide it behind a paywall. I don't like that. I understand why people do that, but like I don't have enough output to warrant that, so it gives me the ick. But you can also check out my Discord, link in the description for that. Got about 200-ish members over there. It's not super active, but I will post like when I go live on Twitch, and I'll post like early access to reactions and whatnot. So if you want to stay abreast, if you will, of what's going on the channel, that'd be the place to do it. All right, that's all I got, everybody. Hope you are all doing well. That was a fun listen today. A little exhausting, but it was fun. So now that is done, we are resuming our Mount Erie microphones binge, and we will be doing the microphones in 2020 in a couple weeks. And And then we're also doing live, unedited, streamed reactions on Twitch here and there. I won't be doing one this week, but maybe week after. I don't know exactly which album I'll do yet. I need to consider that. I want to do the next 2 Built to Spill albums because, gosh, I've been loving those songs to death. But yeah, Microphones in 2020 will be the next main album we'll do probably, and that'll be a couple weeks from now. And as with everything else going forward, I'm planning on just putting it out unedited. So that's what we got going on. I'm gonna go ahead and head out now. So until next time, take care, everyone. Fare thee well, and Godspeed.